Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Next Gen Training here on the Sparta HQ Network. I am Mr. Bennett, and hopefully, I'll be joined by my partner, as always, the coach in the building tonight. But again, good to be with you guys on this Thursday evening as we continue to talk about how to elevate. Certainly for young people, for older people, and just people just looking to be better in the main areas that we emphasize on this show. So again, we always start out our show talking about our pies, uh, uh, physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual. How you doing in those areas? Do you have control, or are you improving in those areas of your life? And certainly in this month, we've branched out a little bit. We got a little bit into the financial aspect, so we're going to continue that conversation tonight in terms of how can you alleviate some of the stressors that people may have financially. Now, again, this is just some tips. Again, we're not financial advisors, and certainly we wouldn't recommend. We would definitely recommend that certainly see a financial advisor if you need to work on that, if you need to pay off some debts, if you need to consolidate some things. Definitely get with a professional who can certainly help you get into a better footing financially. But these are just steps that people can use, anybody can use, to help alleviate some of the issues that are there. But I say, as you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button on the platform. Consider becoming a subscriber to the Sparta HQ Network, and so certainly help this platform grow. We're very close to get monetization, and so we want to be able to definitely take advantage of everything that the YouTube space is giving us. So we appreciate you guys being here tonight. But as always, we start with a pie check. How are your pies? Mariana Constantine in the building tonight, as always. Good to have you with us. But how are your pies? If you guys want to share in the chat, in terms of how you doing, what's your health like, what's your mental state like, and how you doing spiritually, however you want to manage that, your relationship with God or higher power, or, what keeps you grounded, knowing that there's something beyond you. I think those are very positive things. So in my case, physically I'm feeling better. I'm getting stronger, still rehabbing a right lat that I'm, just every week I'm just putting more weight on, doing more repetitions and whatnot. So feeling good. I've been home for the last couple of weeks, so it's allowed me to train more like I usually do. It's funny how when you don't train the way you used to for a couple of weeks, or for a few weeks, how there's a lot of atrophy in terms of your strength levels and everything. So I did my first real workout in the squat rack this past week, and it was definitely it was different. I couldn't lift as much, and so it's like you kind of starting over. But certainly sometimes you got to break things down in order to start over again. So getting back in squat rack, starting to just work and get myself where I need to be on that end. But otherwise, feeling pretty good. Certainly intellectually, again, going into a season again with work. We have a major project over the next couple of weeks. Like I said, so I won't be traveling, but I will be home, and a lot of work to do. I may be working weekends over this stretch of a couple of weeks, and then emotionally, always good, always stable. Having a keeping stresses down is a great way to keep yourself emotionally in a good place, and having just agency and control of those things you can control certainly are vital. And certainly just looking at some of the health challenges that have been around me as of late, certainly taking care of yourself and whatnot, and keeping this sound body and sound mind, that does a lot for your emotional health. And then spiritually, always being connected, always learning, always trying to learn more about, the ways of God, and how to be more impactful in the world, how to be salt and light in the world, are things that I'm always striving for. So, so that's all. Other than that, I'm good in those areas there. Financially getting better all the time. Not quite where I want to be, but certainly just laying the groundwork, and just with my daughters matriculating through their careers. I got one. I just helped her tonight. She's going to Texas for some training for her job that's starting up in September, and so she's getting underway with her life, and so just a lot of blessings around, and so all of that leaves me in a good space. But how are yours? Share in the chat if you like, and make sure you're good in all these areas. And just because you might be good in one doesn't mean you're going to be good in others. But you want balance. in life, have a good share of everything. It's great to be, you know, financially you're great, and then everything else is bad. You don't want that either. So you want to be have a good perspective over over all things. So with that, so it says coach never got the link. So if you can send him the link, or I can see if I can send it to him real quick. Do a copy link address and go to, let's see. Can I grab him for Colonel Ferguson? And boom. Let's see if we can get that. See if that works for him. I hope it does. But if not, if you can, David, if you can send him the link so he can get into the show, I'd appreciate it if you can send that to him. But outside of that, yeah, we can chop it up a little bit and until he gets here. Definitely more like that. Yeah, like to hear from him before I sort of get into it. But while we're waiting, um, hopefully you'll get this piece here. Let me just send it this way. Okay, I see you sent it to him in the chat. Let me just grab this here. Okay, so he's got that one too. So he should be up here very shortly. And but how'd you? But would like to get some feedback while I'm waiting for him. Certainly, Mariana, how we doing? I know you're always loyal to all the shows on the Sparta HQ network, and
Well, I will
but just
come
like to
up
get
for the
a flavor. Well, yeah,
I will come up for the first time on the next gen
sure
training
thing. Good to have you as always. Yep.
pie. Well, I had to take you guys' point of because that do make a lot of sense when you talk about your pies. And I talked to you guys, you and Peter, about what I'm going through, a little nerve pain on my right shoulder. But other than that, it kind of like keep my mind focused on physical fitness a little bit more than affected because
Hmm.
I am not getting younger. I'm in my 40s, soon to enter 50. I will be 47 this year.
Hmm.
Will make me 3 years shy away from the 50 door,
Hmm.
which I will have to really take more emphasis on my physical health more than ever because we have been on a lot of shows where we talk about health. And as men in the United States, we sometimes tend to not pay attention to it because we either running on the sense of responsibility and neglect certain things. You and I both are in tech. You fully understand when you're in that field, you have to dedicate almost 110% and then some because the job is demanding a whole lot more out of you. If anybody who
Hmm.
know about what we are talking about, either you on the data support side of things, you will level two, level three, you bounce around with a amount of let's say 1,000 to 3,000 users in that building. If you're managing multiple buildings and you have a small team, you will be bouncing around within the city, depending on where the location these buildings are. Right?
Sure.
If you are network specialist for a big company and they got multiple locations that you have to travel to maintain or do maintenance check or whatever, what Paul Bennett is doing right now is tasking. After a while, it gets tiring, but we have to put ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally to make sure we stay consistent on these type of things. So being in that field, as a man, I need to be not forget about my physical fitness and my physical health, but I have to be in tune with it more than ever.
Hmm.
Because when I listen to you and Coach Fur having these conversation about the pies and the do's and the don't, wanting to work and what to keep on. I had a good moment this afternoon when my son brought a friend and they were clowning around comparing me to my son because they were like, "How are you sick too? You don't got your dad genetic. Your dad is strong, this and that. Your dad is like a." And I was laughing, but I enjoyed the compliment. But I also had to think about, what am I passing down to my son so he will pass down to the next generation? It got had me thinking. Then I was showing them push-up pointers, how to do pop-up push-up with the hand, trying to do pop-up push-up with the finger and all the other stuff. So when I see my doing that with them, it kind of got me thinking, like, you know what? I need to take more pointer from you guys because it speaks in value. Hey, Coach First. So when
Mm.
you have five young boys in the living room competing among themselves, comparing who to what, one calling you're 6'2" with no big, you're not fast, you're just tall. They want to say you're 6'3", but you can't dunk. They want to say you cannot even make and they clown themselves, but you know how they are when you're kids. They're all competitive.
Yeah,
So I can only think of Coach Fur. He'd have been that situation, but then again, Coach Fur, he's more showboating during his era. He was showing off. So
he's
he can
showing
put.
off now. Wait a minute, this dude talking about on Wednesday he taking on some young guys, did something like 110 push-ups or something like that. Put some young guys to shame. So he's still showing off. So we back in the day, he's still going out there doing so.
And
Hey,
then, and then when I met to Coach Fur, because I had to think about that. Because first thing when I'm watching them, I was thinking, how would Coach Fur do that? I said, you know what? Let me not show up to it. I was showing them some push-up on it. I was doing knuckle push-ups, but I know it's like, Elijah, I know you can't do it. Your father.
hmm
He, my son put on the spot, and he had to debunk them in person because he was putting some guy, and I get it, I understand it, but it was fun. But watching them doing that and me being a father, it let me feel like, okay, you know what? I need to step up a little bit more.
yeah,
So that was like a wake up call, but I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm not cold for it. I'm not going to showboat too much because I'll be unfair. I'll leave that for Coach for it. Other than that, it's great being on the show. Let me get back to the back screen.
I heard that. I heard that. Good to see you, Coach. So how you doing? So we did our pies check. So how things going with you, sir?
Everything was all right, man. I'll just check in with the P, right? Like I mentioned the other day, man, just in the push up contest, man. I was challenged, man, and I felt pretty good once I hit the number that I hit. I was definitely surprised, and it was at least 10 more than the next man who was at least 10 to 15 years younger
hmm
than me. So, hey, I feel good about that, man. So,
So
yeah,
you
my
did this in
physical,
consecutive, or you did this like in sets of 30?
we did
Okay,
sets, because I follow their
right.
rules, but so the sets is really easy for me. So, yeah, I knocked out, I think, started off, I stopped at like, it took me 3 sets to get to the
Okay,
number.
so about
So,
35 per, roughly 33 per.
yeah, the first set I did 41. The second set I did like 35. Yeah, like
Gotcha.
35. And then I just rocked
How
it
much
on
rest in
out
between
because I was
before you?
it was maybe 5 minutes
Gotcha.
because I did mine, then other people went around. We don't Yeah, then at the end it was only two of us. And I was counting his. Well, we were counting, so I figured as long as I go 5 or 10 above the next man, I was good. And that's how I worked it out. Because I know, see, most people don't breathe. During the military, they teach you how to breathe through the
hmm
push up. So I was just using that same technique.
I
So
heard
it
that.
worked.
I heard that. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, man. So we're gonna continue on as we've been doing for the last few weeks, talking about finances, how you can be a little bit better, just some wisdom that you can use when on terms of how to manage your finances. So again, a lot of people deal with this. A lot of it have a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. Marion and Constantine talked about still working on how to balance that and whatnot, and you can definitely get stressed out, especially with the economy and whatnot. So how can you be better at it? Or certainly things that you can, there's remedies that you can take in to help you on a daily basis. Last week we talked about how you should look at your finances on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual basis. So again, there's going to be a little more overlap when we talk about these subjects tonight. But these are just some little tools that you can use. Now, again, none of these things. It's like to me, this is almost like taking a vitamin, right? It's like none of this is gonna.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot. You cannot take a vitamin that's gonna overcome a bad diet. You know what I'm saying? If your basis, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough nutrition. If you're not putting the proper work in, then again, you cannot improve your body if you don't take that in. So again, for those major things, if you're in a major financial situation, again, get some professional counseling services in terms of how to manage that. It may require maybe again some debt consolidation, or look at your portfolio and see what's there, what's missing. Maybe revisit that if you haven't done it for a while. I mean, again, there's some major steps that you may need to do that. We're not professionals at that. We're not here to advise you in those particular areas, but these are some tools that you can use in the process, in addition to those things that you're doing to at least help you deal with the stress and the anxiety that comes from knowing that your finances aren't in a good place, and moves that you can do in order to, on a daily basis, how you can manage these stressors. All right. So again, we're going to get into this in terms of how to manage that, how to lower your anxieties, and as you see in the picture, I don't know why my title's not there. I could have swore I put a title up there, but in any event, how do you manage especially when you got people dependent on you, you got a family to raise, you got, kids to send to school, you got, all kinds of responsibilities, bills to pay. And how can you do that when you know you have all these dependencies? So what are some of the things that you can do in order to manage these stresses? So I'll just get to the first point. So again, so we're going to be talking about, again, money habits that reduce financial anxiety long term. All right. So these are steps that you can do in order to, how to, take care of these things. So it doesn't make, you're still going to have to do the work. You're still going to have to make the hard choices. You're going to have some lifestyle changes, so all those things are going to be there if you're finding yourself in a situation that you're fighting to get out of. But along the way, these can be really useful in your journey, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been, certainly making money for a while, but you're just trying to get a better hold of things. So, first point that we want to talk about is, again, automation. Sometimes it's when you know, we're emotional creatures, and so a lot of times the decisions that we make are made with emotion. So sometimes it'll could either cause you to move when you shouldn't move, or not move, and how to stay put. So again, automate taking some of the financial burdens out of your hands is one way you can lower some of the stresses. So again, setting up automatic transfers to savings. Okay, again, we talk about saving, and people should save. How many people are going to move money over when or you're contemplating? Yeah, I know I'm supposed to save, but this is on sale, or I got this bill I need to pay, or whatever. How can you take some of these decisions out of your hands so it's not so stressful when you have to make these decisions? Okay, so again, automatic transfer. Just have money go out of your accounts, out of your paychecks to savings, to pay bills. If you got investments, you definitely want to have those things out of your hand. So again, less decision making means less stress and more peace of mind. So again, coach, your thoughts on this one? Certainly, I think for a lot of people, if you don't want to just have a mountain of, I got to do this and that or whatever, taking it out of your hands might be a way to deal with that. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Man, everything, I guess, with the savings, uh, everything comes out automatically as far as some of our main
Mhm.
things. My wife she's grown to be a stickler to ensuring that each, I guess, bill is paid, the money is allotted to the appropriate places. And so I've seen, and it's funny, when she met me, she was one of those that, like, okay, I see it, I want it, I
Yeah,
buy it.
emotional buyer. Yeah.
And me, I might see it and have to see it 3 or 4 more times before
Mhm.
I buy it. I used to tell the clerk when I go into the store, like, don't tell me all the fancy things about it. That's why I'm here, because I already know. How much is it? And sometimes I bought it, sometimes I didn't, because I always understood the sale. And I'm one of those people first to get things out of season. Like I buy summer clothes out of season, fall clothes
Absolutely.
out. But bills, I like to pay the bills
Mhm.
myself. I don't know why. I always like to go in and just like where we are now. Our home outside the mortgage, everything else is
Mhm.
minimal. I think between our water and electric bill, it's like 75, $80 a month
Yeah.
for the two, which is
Yeah.
really good. Investments, um, wasn't really big in investing until once I got married. And just a financial tip, like I said, we put $4 in a startup company 10 years ago. It cashed out. They sent us I don't know, a statement. It was well over $100,000. So that's just going right into the savings. We don't need it. It's just going to sit there and draw more interest. Um, and it makes it easier knowing that you have someone sort of thinking along the same lines, especially at this point in our lives where we don't need anything. I made a commitment earlier this early in the year to not go to K&G. I love K&G. You heard of
Oh yeah, we
you heard of
got. I got
K&G,
one. I was.
man?
I
So,
was there last week. I got me a tracksuit.
see
30
what I'm
bucks.
saying?
30 bucks, top and
See what I'm
bottom.
saying?
Absolutely.
But I made a commitment to not
Mhm.
go all
Mhm.
summer. I did
Mhm.
well, and we were originally planning to go somewhere this weekend, back to the mountains, but for some reason we just ain't feeling it or whatever. But she like, oh, we can go shopping, and they go, you can go to K. See, she know how to get me. She mentioned K&G. I'm like, oh yeah, great. And we don't have one here, so we have the. I go to either Indianapolis, which is 100
Oh
miles,
wow.
or I go to Cincinnati, which is
Wow.
100 miles. So, but yeah, man, we're looking to. I would say, as far as money wise, we don't need to keep focusing on bringing in money because we sort of got everything set up for the
Mhm.
long haul. And it does take a lot of stress, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that if my wife stops working, we're set for life in a
Mhm.
sense. And she thinks about me and I think about her. So if something happened to her, of course I'll be okay. Cause I'll just pack all this stuff up, sell the house, and go into a
Mhm.
veteran's home and keep my little cars, and you know what I'm saying, and pay pennies on the dollar for a place that I don't have to worry about too much of, shoveling snow, taking care of the
Right.
property. I can just live and have my space. But yeah, man, it does create a peace of mind. Uh, and I've been talking real quick. My son, he's a truck
Mhm.
driver now. He's been driving trucks a couple of
Right.
months now, right? So it's funny. He was telling me the story the other day. He said, "Man, it worked out because I for some reason Amazon fired him because he had his phone out. They saw his
Oh
phone
wow.
out, so they just. But then he was able to speed up the process of getting his CDL. So he's been driving for the last couple of months, and he was telling me, he said, "Man, I'm glad it sort of happened." I said, "Sometimes you open up new doors. One door closed,
Right.
another door open." And he was working and going to truck driving school, but it would have took him longer. So by him getting fired, he was able to speed up the process by at least a month or two. He's like, "Man, I've already saved about $4,000 or $5,000 in the little 2 months I've been driving." So, he's talking about getting a car. So I was just talking to him about how to save up for it. And, when he goes into the car place, I know exactly how to sort of navigate that process now and how to save him
Right.
some money so he can put that money
That's
away.
good.
So, yeah, man, I'm just proud of him. The fact that he's a little frugal like
Mhm.
me, but he's always been able to save
Indeed.
money. So, yeah, I think yeah, it brings a peace of mind,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah.
We
It's
older,
again, I
so
understand that, uh, you don't want to necessarily automate everything or have it where you're not aware of things that are going on. But, certainly, again, definitely when it comes to savings and things like that, having an automatic. That's why people, if you got a
Yeah.
401 or whatever investment strategy you use, crypto or whatever, just taking that money out. So again, you're not asking the question, well, should I hold on to it this month, or I may want to spend on something. It's just something you don't have to play with. And so again, you need to know yourself in order to make those kind of decisions. So yeah, definitely automating things and getting it out of your pocket is certainly a way to deal with some of those anxieties when decisions have to be made. Um,
Brother Ben, I want to ask you a question about the state you live in. Can you file married but separate taxes in your state?
you can, yeah, you can. Well, you can marry. I think. I mean, you can file. I think married. Can you do that? You can do single. You can do head of household. Yeah, I don't think there's a category per se for married filing separately. At least I don't think. I'd have to go back and look over my
Mm, okay,
returns. But yeah, we do the joint both on the federal and on the state
on the
level. Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Okay, me and my wife always we started in Illinois with it, but we've always filed married but
Hmm.
separate, and we've both been able to always get our income taxes. She gets a nice little bit, and when I was working, I was getting a
Hmm.
nice little bit. And I was watching a financial advisor program,
Hmm.
right? And they were showing the difference of when people file married but separate and file
Hmm.
jointly. A lot of times they tax one at like
Hmm.
18%. So a lot of people end up owing, but people who file married but separate, both of them typically get an income tax check back. So
Interesting.
I brought it up because I know each state is different, but I don't think a lot of people are really aware of that they can do
Right,
that.
right. But you're talking about for the state return, not
So
necessarily the federal.
no, the federal. It's for the
Okay,
federal.
you
Yeah,
mentioned
we
state, so
do
that's why I was
separate.
I was curious.
Yeah, we do. We filed separate federal
Hmm.
and state, and we've always gotten a
Hmm.
check back, both of us. So I'm just
All
saying,
right, it's certainly something worth looking
check
at.
on it in your state,
Yeah,
folks.
definitely
Yeah,
something worth looking at. Absolutely. Next on the list here is, again, create a money check-in ritual. So we talked about, again, what are the habits that you do daily, weekly, monthly. So every week, you want to have a time where you do look over those accounts. All right. But what they're saying
yeah,
is do it in a cozy spot. So again, cozy, light that should be a candle. I don't know what says cancel, but light a candle, grab some tea, use a simple template routine. So in other words, you want to be in a peaceful. So again, looking
yeah,
at your finances or checking things out shouldn't be in a stressful situation. You want to be relaxed in a place that you enjoy, whether it be in your house or sometimes even out of the house. Maybe going to a Starbucks or something like that and grabbing a latte, and as you go over these things. But again, it should be a necessary process, but it shouldn't bring you just, if you're afraid to go into your app to look at your account or something like that, or the bills you got to pay or whatever, then yeah, like I said, and what we're recommending tonight, that those things are not going to be changed unless you do the hard work. Like I said earlier, if you are not eating well, if you're not exercising, if you're not going to the if you're not doing the meat and potatoes things, these what we're just giving you some add-ons to make that process easier when you're under discipline. But again, the important thing is that you have to get under some kind of discipline. And we're not here, like I said, to advise you on that. I mean, definitely we talked about the taxes, definitely, again, do you due diligence, talk to you if you have a tax account or whatever, talk to them about that and ask them, what are the advantages? If I'm married, should I continue to follow jointly, or should we do separate? And again, it also may depend on where you're at in life. Like married filing jointly might have been better when your kids were little, but now, like, I'm almost an empty nester now. So, so that might be, so I can't claim really any of my daughters on my taxes anymore. They're not dependents. So I don't get as many write-offs. So again, filing separately may be a new season that we have to go into and look at this in a serious manner. So again, those things that you have to do. But just checking in and looking at your accounts, always knowing where you are. You never want to get hit with a charge or a bill that is that you weren't expecting, or if you need to check some things, because in fact, I'll just share this off the rip. We got hit with a we got scammed recently. So somebody, now again, I don't know how they got my information because I don't have this on my apps. I don't have it in Google Pay or Apple Pay or anything like that. But somebody got a hold of an account that we had, and they went charging up someplace in Texas, and they were charging left, right. I had both of the card. Like I said, this is just an overdraft account that I had that I don't really use. It's just if the checking account goes under, so it just charging you, just it's just for overdraft. But I never bought anything with it. So then I get my statement that comes in. I'm like, what is this? What are these charges? So we immediately reported it, but somebody somehow got access to that information and they went to town. And so, so again, we'll be made whole shortly. But again, a lot of times don't let a lot of time go by where weeks, if not months, are going by. You don't know where your finances are. And then when you look up and say, how'd I get this charge? How'd I get this bill? You might have gotten scammed. So again, so always be mindful of where you are financially, what your statements are, what your bills are, and you just want to, and again, you don't have to spend a ton of time on it. Again, 15 minutes, just kind of going over those things in a chill environment, and just take it as a time to, just to always know where you are. So again, Coach, your thoughts on this one.
Just most of the time when I check, my balances, log in, it's usually when I first wake up, when I'm lying in the bed, right before I go to
Mm,
sleep. And I can pretty much calculate to the T how much should be in there. I really don't look at the pennies, the
mhm,
cents, but to the dollar, I'm usually always spot on because I've always been conscious of how much I spend. I add stuff up before I even go to the register sometime, and I calculate the taxes. And when I do taxes, I typically do 20%. Just so if I get a few dollars more back, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Review it you know, at least 5 days before you pay period.
that's a
Each
good
pay
point. Yeah.
period, just go ahead and check and see what you got in the bank. Make sure ain't no fraudulent transactions been taking place, and change it. I also, if you're gonna do it on your phone, I recommend changing your password every 6 months or so. But stay away from those easy to remember birth dates and things
Mhm.
like that. And phones now, and I make a note and I lock the note in my phone. Like if I change a
Yeah.
password, I'll put it in my phone note, and I'll just lock that note so you couldn't just get my phone and go through. You have to know my
Yeah, and
password.
most of the
So
apps now, they also have vaults, password vaults and whatnot, apps
yeah,
and whatnot that you can also use to employ to store that information as well. So yeah, definitely keeping your password secure is certainly another way you can certainly make sure that you alleviate some of those stresses. The next one here, again, build a buffer. Have an extra $100 to $500 just in case money can lower the anxiety more than you think. It's not about the amount, it's about knowing you have something to fall back on. So again, always putting something, having some money. And I don't know how you feel about cash. I like to have cash. We basically we got a little figurine or whatever. I just like putting some money in there. If someone pays me cash for anything, I don't even deposit in the bank half the time. I just put it right in the little figurine there, and I just like knowing that I got a couple $100 on me at all times. Now, but I don't carry a lot of cash with me though. Like I rarely
mhm,
my wallet. I rarely carry cash unless I'm traveling. Because sometimes you want to tip the hotel guy or whatever. Sometimes you'll do that, but other than that, it's rare when I have a lot of cash on me, but certainly having cash available when I need something quick, or I got to pay for it. Sometimes guy outside picking up leaves or whatever, and you just want to hit him up or whatever, and just have that. So yeah, so definitely having a buffer can help. And again, it's about the habits. I think the habit of putting a little extra money on the side, not so close that you can get to it necessarily, but you definitely want to make sure it's there. Yes, indeed, the identity theft. Yeah, that's a big problem. And that's even more so. So again, we're talking about things, suggesting some things, but these might become more and more necessities that you need to be able to protect yourself and whatnot. So again, always staying on top of what your finances are, what your accounts are looking like, and make sure there's no strange charges or whatnot. I know sometimes the credit card companies, they'll call you up. I know mine sometimes does, and they'll say, hey, we've witnessed some of these charges that are kind of out of character for you. Hey, you just want to verify and that these are purchases that you made. I've gotten those kind of calls in the past. But this one, somehow it slipped by. But again, this person down in Texas, they were charging left and right. They were going to Dollar General and they were doing all kind. They were going to town. I was like, nah, I don't know
Dang,
anybody in Texas. So like I said, the cards were like I said, they were on me. So
it's
yeah,
crazy.
so it's definitely a it was a major thing that I had to just deal with just a couple days ago, actually. So you definitely want to,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
wild.
for sure. But what? How do how you think about again building that buffer? How much you like to have some loose cash on hand or whatever? What's your strategy? You look like one of them guys who would do that from a young age because I know you talked about you cutting hair and all that. So
Yeah,
you got to play. You hide money, so you got money in
yeah.
places
But
nobody
but
knows about.
but but you know what's funny though? Very similar to what you just said. I don't carry a lot of cash right now, and I got $21 in my wallet, and that's probably the max I would carry on a
Yep,
routine
same here.
day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So $21. I've been matter of fact, I've been having that for about two
Mhm.
weeks now, and you're right. Since I was young, I've always wanted to keep some cash in
Mhm.
hand. I think the most I had when my wife met me, I had about 6 or 7 thousand cash. She's like, "How you get all that? And you doing all?" I said, "Yeah, I know how to manage my
Mhm.
money." One of my, I guess my, what is it called? One of my
Compulsive. Com,
bad
com,
habits would be
yeah.
shopping. I
Yeah.
like to shop, but I don't spend a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Same. Yep.
I'm not a
Me
name
neither.
brand
Me
guy.
neither.
I'm a quality guy. I like the quality, and if it looks right, it looks right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've always been that way. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like now, man, we got two piggy banks and both of them are
Yeah.
filled. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I still keep. I probably got like $15 worth of change in my
Yep.
little, little armrest
Yep.
in the car. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, it's just being able to do that really quick. Just Monday, Tuesday, I went to Fort
Mm.
Knox, and I have an AFES card, right?
What's an AP's card?
AFES card is like a credit card that you can spend on
Okay.
base.
Gotcha.
It's specifically designed to purchase things on base, but you can also use it for other things because Home Depot is an affiliate of AFES. They have products. And the thing I like about going to base, there's no tax on whatever
Nice.
you purchase. So I have this card. I just activated it 2 weeks ago. So when I was going to pay for the little stuff I had, it kept declining. And the lady said, it's being declined because there's some fraudulent
Mm.
activity. I'm like, hold up. So I called the hotline, like, hold up, man, what's going on? And she was like, yeah, it looked like it was some fraudulent activity in Chicago. I said, hold up, I ain't been in Chicago. I said, ain't nobody had my card but me. Say, yeah, put a flag on it. She's like, because they had stopped it. They put a
Yeah. Yeah.
stop payment on it until I had to call them directly and say yay or nay. I'm like, no, it wasn't me, man. Yeah, I'm glad y'all. She's like, yeah, we do that. And I'm glad they had that safety
Exactly.
measure there,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's good to have a few dollars. If you a single person, I can see it can be a little bit difficult. However, everything adds up. 50 cent, 20 cent. If you can find a space to, put it in a piggy bank, and if you have a little extra dollars, you don't have to just spend it because it's in your hand. Sometimes you can, think about it a few days and you might realize you don't need to spend it. Just hold on
Right.
to it. But yeah, I'm all with that, man. Hold on to it. Don't just blow it. Some people just be burning in their hand,
Yeah,
like
yeah, can't
I
keep.
gotta
They
go
go through.
spend
Yeah,
it.
if it's in their hand or possession, they spend it. But like I said, me, I just
Yeah.
I just prefer just to keep it keep it from me and so not touch it. But yeah, definitely
Mm-hmm.
having a buffer. A nice cash buffer. And it's just
Yeah.
amazing how a lot of people just don't have a couple hundred. You talk about living paycheck to paycheck, but a lot of folks don't even have. If these days 4 flat tires is $800. So, so I
Yes.
mean, do you have that in
Yes.
order to take care of some of those things? So definitely things to be mindful of. Next step here. Okay, create a wins list. I like this when I first saw it. So again, track every money win. So whether you pay off a credit card, cancel a subscription, impulse resisted. So again, you went into K&G, but you walked out without buying anything. Me, it'd be Marshalls. So that's a win for me every time I go out. five
Yeah.
dollars saved. Again, it doesn't matter the amount. It's can you get into the habit of saving? Progress rewires your brain to focus on what's working, not just what's wrong. So again, sometimes again, just like any habit, it starts with small steps. Can you put $5, $20, whatever it is per paycheck? Just make a decision that I'm going to do this no matter what, and I'm just going to put that money in this account or whatever. I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm not going to worry about it. Again, when you pay off a credit card, again, if you're monitoring, you check it off. Celebrate that, because again,
Mm-hmm.
the things that really affect your credit, again, late payments will definitely hurt your credit negatively. But when you pay off cards and that debt to credit card ratio is low, that's something to be positive about. And like I talked about last week, strategy that I've used for years, I recommend for a lot of young people. Let's say if you have multiple debts, that are accruing interest, pay off. Well, you can either do two things: pay off the smallest card first, just to get it off. And then once you do that, the money that you apply towards that card or that bill, put it towards the next bill and take that out. So you just click them one at a time. But if you just spread money around, especially with these cards and places that have interest, you'll never get out of it. It's like I'm spending money paying bills every month, but I'm not getting anywhere. You got to be surgical when you talk about taking care of bills. So again, like one at a time, you eliminate one at a time from your smallest to your largest. The other strategy, if you're not going to go from smallest to largest, or if there's a decision made between two cards or two bills that are roughly of the same value, which one has the higher interest? Because again, anything that you're paying on, it's going interest is part of the payment as well. So again, you think you're putting $100 on something, but if the interest is 20%, you're not making that full payment. So if you got two bills, if you got a credit card at 21% and you got another bill at 8%, and they're basically the same amount, you pay the higher interest one first, because more of your money then will be going to, you're not paying as much in interest. Knock out the high interest bill next, if you have to decide between two bills of the same amount. And then you just kind of keep knocking them off. But every time you knock it off, that's a win. Now it's up to you if you want to keep that line open. Now again, when it comes to credit worthiness, one of the things that they measure is the number of cards that you have. You don't necessarily want to cancel a card when you pay it off, because credit age, anytime you cancel a card, it lowers your credit age. And credit card companies like to see a long credit history. So just because you pay it off, put the card away. So you don't necessarily have to use it unless you have to. Put the card away, but keep the account open. That increases your credit age and improves your credit history over time. But definitely, if you do pay that card off, yeah, create a wins list of money that's saved, bills that are paid off, or in, like it says here, impulses resisted. All right. So again, it's about a mindset, not thinking about what's wrong, but what are you doing right. And I like that idea, that people do that. You should celebrate those things. Coach, your thoughts on this one?
You know what I found out recently in the last few
Mm,
years? Paying off a credit card drops your credit score.
mm,
Uh, and not using them. Now what they're doing now, and this happens to us often, if you don't use a credit card, they'll send you a letter saying they can already cancel the
Yeah.
card. They want you to
Yeah.
use it.
Although I don't see that with
And
banks. Where I see that more with is like the retail stores, like the Best Buy, the electronic stores and whatnot.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
kind of, yeah,
yeah,
if you're not spending money there. But the
yeah,
banks that, they'll keep you open forever, at least in my experience anyway. I haven't yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let me see. We had a Discover, like Discover, they want you to use it or they'll cancel it,
Hmm.
something like that. I do remember that because my wife, she has a Discover. Me, I don't. I have what, one credit card. I don't carry a lot of credit cards. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. I wouldn't recommend just closing an account just because it's
Yeah.
paid off. Just even if you take it down to $5, at least get it down. Raise your credit, lower your credit
Yeah.
usage, which is important. I don't have a lot of subscriptions, none of that. I don't do Netflix and all of those things. I just have regular internet and cable and things like that. Yeah, I believe in anything. A penny. I'll save a penny. I'll find a penny somewhere. I'll
Oh
pick it
yeah.
up, put it in the
Yeah.
piggy bank. It all adds
Indeed.
up to
Yes, it
me.
does. Yes, it does.
So yeah, it's just definitely, especially today. You know what I'm saying, with the cost of everything. I think it's important to at least set a plan. Give yourself at least a year and a half to sort of be a little diligent and consistent about just paying those lower bill first. Like Brother Bennett said, the higher interest rate, get those things paid down. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, man. We like to buy money sometime on our
Hmm.
impulse, and then we get it and realize, you know what? I really didn't
Yeah.
need that, and we may wear it once or twice. So yeah, if you can resist it, but if you have kids, that could be a little
Yeah.
different, But I would recommend uh, definitely sitting everyone down and going over all the finances that come into the home and everything that needs to be going out, especially today, so they can be a little bit more financially
Yeah,
aware.
yeah.
So
Now, Mariana was asking how. So I'm a little because again, I follow my credit history pretty good, and again, anytime again, the lower my debt to credit ratio, my credit always improves, always. So when you
mhm,
say that paying off a credit card lowers your credit, again, the only thing that I know for sure, like I said, if you cancel a card, so let's say if you paid a credit card
and don't
off
cancel it.
and you cancel it, that lowers your
Yeah.
credit age, which will then lower your credit. So
Hmm.
you could be using credit cards for 30 years. But if you cut all those credit cards, you close all those accounts, your credit age might be like 7 years. It's like, how could it be 7 years? Well, I've been
Yeah.
using credit all these years.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like
If you
they're
close it.
open accounts. So you want to keep the accounts open if possible. And then also, now I also think there's nothing wrong with using the credit card if you're disciplined enough to pay it off. Like basically, as soon as you go, let's say if you get like one of those points cards, like Costco, like we go to Costco a lot, get gas on, get the 4% back or whatever.
Man, a lot.
And so that can be some serious money at the end of the month. So as soon as I make the transaction in Costco, I get the points. I immediately transfer the money over to pay for the gas I just got with the other card. So I guess I get my points because I use the Costco credit card, but then I pay it off immediately. So if you can get into that habit where you're spending, so again, it's helping your credit history because they're showing okay he or she's spending and paying off the money all the time. That is what you want. Yes, using especially for travel with the travel that I've been doing. Yes, I mean I've gotten so many travel miles and hotel. I got 15 free nights in the Marriott chain. No, actually 21 nights. I got 21 free nights just because I'm charging that card up. But guess what? Once I get my reimbursement, I pay it off right away. So again, so you want to get into that habit. You don't want to accumulate debt, but as soon as you're able to pay those things off, keep those balances to zero, but keep using it and just use this that way. Using a credit card as cash, especially if you got one that's giving you like free air miles, free get money on gas or whatnot. You get that nice check every year for the expenses. If you could run thousands of dollars a month through a credit card, but then make sure that it's paid off every month, then that's a nice position to be in. And for people who are business savvy, that's how they're able to get those extra perks. That's how they get those free flights. That's how they get all those benefits. So you want to be definitely able to get there. We're not saying credit is bad or using credit cards is bad. No, credit cards could be an excellent financial tool. But if you're dealing with debt and there's certain things you got to get yourself in a position to be able to use a credit card effectively. And so again, that's the difference. So hopefully we clear that up for Mariana. But yeah, pay it off, keep it open, and then you should be able to see some benefits or some increases in your credit history overall. Next one here, I think we got a couple left here. It says use general language around money. Now again, this is one of those feel. Now I was a little mixed on this one because, like I said, I don't care how much self talk you have about I'm getting in shape, I'm losing weight. I don't care how much you can have all the positive mental attitude and self talk and all that stuff if you want. If you're not doing it, it's not really going to matter. So again, I'm all good with try saying I'm learning how to manage my money instead of I'm terrible with money. I get all those tricks. Oh yeah, I can't stop smoking, or I will stop smoking. I can't stop spending at K&G or Marshalls, but I will stop. And start saying, I'm not spending any money there. You can say all those things. All right. Again, these are hacks, little tricks that can help that process be easier. But a person who's not under discipline, none of this stuff is going to matter. This isn't this think and grow rich, speak it and name it and claim it, speak it into existence type of stuff. All that kind of stuff has limited use if you're not going to put the work behind the words to make these things a reality. Right. So again, but you don't want to say but yeah, I agree not to use some of the self. I suck with money. I'm so stupid. I don't believe in that negative self talk that you may have about a person. I never get it right. I'm broke all the time, and I don't. And again, to an degree, I think that you shouldn't beat yourself up with that kind of language. My life is terrible and nothing's going right for me or whatever. I just think and nobody wants to be around somebody like that. If you want to be a negative Nancy all the time, then nobody wants to be. That is an unattractive character trait that people run and flee from. You definitely want to be optimistic. You definitely want to, but again, that optimism should be based on something tangible that you're doing. Again, if you are getting those small wins, saving $5, avoiding spending we don't need to, stepping away from saying no to food that's given to you. You shouldn't be eating those things. People give it to you. It's like, oh, but they offer, I got to eat it. Saying no to certain things. Those are wins. So again, when you're doing the actions, then the words can help to magnify what you're doing. But if you're not going to put the work in, none of this stuff matters. So again, when I saw this, I was like, it just kind of hit me right away. Because again, I've read Think and Grow Rich. I've read, all those PMA books and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you got to do the work. But I'm not saying these things are bad in themselves, but I think people went way to the other side. I'm just going to speak it. I'm just going to claim it, or saying, I'm not going to speak debt. I'm not going to speak poverty or whatever, but you're still in poverty. What are you doing to address the issues that are in front of you? And looking and embracing the reality of your situation. You have to do that if you want to make any kind of positive change to your situation. So, Coach, I just went on a rant there, but I'm like, say, faith without works is dead. I'm sorry. So unless you put that in, nothing's going to happen. But your thoughts on this one?
No, man, that's spot on, man. Listen, man. On YouTube, again, everybody makes $100,000 a year. Everybody got all this money, but they still got to get up and go to work at 7:30 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So, and to me, are they trying to make money just to spend? Because we spend a lot and we don't think about the future. And a lot of times I've heard people say, I'm terrible with money, but they want to go into
Hmm.
business with me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm a little frugal sometimes. I don't go without. I have everything that I need in abundance of it. And I'm not just going to say, oh, I got an extra $300. Let me just go out and party it up. No, I'm not that
Nope.
type of guy. I'm going to put 200 and look, I might put 260 up and take a little $40 and go out and, pinch off of
Yeah.
that, for 2 days. But again, man, it's a mindset. We talked about it earlier, the growth mindset. You have to sort of speak positive about it, but also you have to put in the work. You can, like you said, you can read all the financial books you want, but if you're not breaking down your finances, looking to save a little bit here and there, and foregoing having a good time a couple of weeks out of the, you
Mm.
know what I'm saying, just so you can build that nest egg up, because it takes time and it takes discipline. I think a lot of people just lack the discipline because we always looking at what somebody
Yeah.
else has and the name brand. So yeah, man, listen, you have to be a little bit more self-aware and be disciplined. It takes discipline to really over time, not just a couple of months. But again, it depends on um, what is your I guess your um, future outlook for your financial
Right.
stability. What are you looking to increase your
Right.
finances? Is it just to buy stuff, or have a major I think outside of a car and a home, everything else is just
Yeah.
toys to me. You know what I'm saying? Getting those things. And sometimes, depending on where you live, because what I've seen now, the trend is a lot of younger, educated people coming out into the workforce. They would rather live in the inner cities and take public
Right.
transportation, when their generation before, their parents wanted the house in the suburbs and would spend an hour and a half in traffic getting to work. So now people are starting to think about those things and invest early. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coming up on the last one, it's going to be a relatively short show tonight. Um, but I think short and to the point. I think that certainly adds value. Last point here: unfollow what stretches you out. Now, again,
That's you.
I'm not saying that you should walk in ignorance, especially when it comes to your finances. Again, you should know and understand basic money management. You should know what's going on with economic trends, because again, if you do have investments, you need to know kind of where things are going. Either that, or you hire some money manager, someone who's going to run your portfolio, and you just say, "Hey, you just run it. I don't worry about it." No, you need to be involved. But do you have to know everything? Do you have to be so engaged in the process that, again, you read the Financial Times or Yahoo Finance or whatever? You don't have to read everything. Just the things that are sort of tied to your investments or what have you, or things that you pointed out of interest. Those are certainly things that you can um you about to take some swings, coach. You about to get in the batting cage and take some hacks at the
No, man, I'm just stretching,
you
man. You
just
know
you
them
just trying to
push-ups
you
still
yes
on
you
me,
just want to
man.
show your pop you just trying to
No,
show your
push-ups
Popeye
still on me.
forearms. I get
No,
it.
no, man.
Those
Them
Popeye
push-ups
forearms.
are
I
still
get
on
it.
me.
Not a problem. But again, you need to be informed. But again, these algorithms, the way these things work, they will feed your fear or your stress. And so, yeah, some things you need to unfollow. And like Coach was alluding to, yeah, there's a lot of things. There was a scripture that really hit me last year. It says, have no part in unfruitful conversations. And there was just a lot of things that I was in that was like, I don't need to be a part of these things anymore. And so I just got out. So yeah, anything that is just adding unnecessary burden, I'm gonna be about singly focused on my family, focused on my faith, focused on those things that matter to me. But I don't follow. So when people say, "Hey, did you hear about this, that, and third?" I had to not unfollow somebody. I had to silence some of their threads because everything that they were sending was like, the world is over. Or if you're gonna tell me there's like, there's no more good black women left. All the black women are gone. I got the last one. Me and Coach got the last black. I'm like, look, I just raised three. I hope not. I just raised three of them, so I don't know what you're saying. I
Right.
got three of them on the ready. If you that high value man, I got three of them waiting for you. Well, two. I got one has got her man already. So
Two.
I got two more. One's in medical school. So again, you better come. You better come quick. Submit your resume. So again, so just a lot of that feeding that kind of the world is going to hell in a handbasket. Yeah, I just avoid all of that. I live in blessing. I was talking to my boss who came back. She was battling some things or whatever. She's like, "How you stay so positive?" It's like, look, we talked about hard work, right? And it just reminded me being in Georgia really reminded me of what hard work really is because you know last month, I mean, you talk about it was hot. It's hot everywhere in July, right? Georgia heat, that's another level. But if you go 90 miles west of where I was, uh, you'll find that's where my family is from. My mom and my dad, they're from that part of the state, and they used to work in that environment. So again, I'm in the. It would like you get out your car, you feel the sun baking on you, and then you go into the building that's air conditioned. My ancestors worked in the fields, in the factories back then. So when people talk about, yeah, it's things that's a lot of work, yes, even though I'm in IT or whatnot, yes, that doesn't mean that things can't be stressful. Yeah, it's a lot of mental stuff you got to do, but I almost feel guilty calling it work because if you really want to know what hard work is, try living in a time that they had to endure. And so here I am. I'm one of their descendants. I'm in a place where I'm in eating steak dinners every night in restaurants and doing all this kind of stuff. So it's like, what I have to be complaining about? So again, that's just my vibe right now. It's like I just the work that we have to do, which is going to be a lot over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be local here, but we got to hunker down. We got to get some things done. And I'm like, let's get to work. If you want to call it that, let's go. And so she was like, how you be so positive? It's like, look, I'm half full all the time. I'm in a great position, and I still have the vitality to be passionate about what I do. So I'm saying, let's go. So again, so I don't have time for conversations that are going to stress me out. I don't have time if everybody's going to be negative about something, like a bounce. I'll see you guys later because I got more positive things to do. It's like, so again, you want to beat on women, you want to beat on America, you want to beat on whatever. It's like, look, I'm just going to operate and do what I need to be doing. And so again, if things financial pressures, if things are falling, talking about everything's going to automation, whatever, again, what are you doing then in a positive to make sure that you're in a position to be better? Again, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and we can even add financially to this. What are you doing positively to do that? So do the work. And then those things that can be stressors, get them out of your life. You don't need those things. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And certainly we can start to wind down the show. But Coach, I'll give it to you to have your final thoughts, certainly on this, and then your final short thoughts, and we can land the plane early tonight. Like I said, I said early on, I'm not. We're not in COVID anymore, so we don't need to be on air for 3 hours. We, let's
For
make the
sure.
points and let's bounce and get out. We bold older dudes like us. We got other things we need to be doing. If you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah, I definitely know what you're saying.
so go ahead, man. What you got?
No, this was a great slide right here, man. And me, I guess I've always been a person that stayed cool under pressure. I never let other people's stories and issues and problems affect me in a
Mhm.
sense. I don't know where it came from. It might have came from my own home life, just being around my father. Yeah, I don't know, man. And now, YouTube is a funny place because YouTube is probably the only place that you would really, I guess, get
Hmm.
stressed out. I mean, what I mean by it is that, when it comes to family, like my son, I in the growing process, it could get a little stressful. Like, man, I hope he's listening, man. Man, I thought we talked
Hmm.
about this. Why are you doing this? You know what I'm saying? But that's something that I can just walk away from and still come back with love and say, hey, man, listen, I have to be that way sometime because I want you to understand the
Yeah.
importance of it. I'm not gonna curse you. I've never been a big cursor, and in
Hmm.
youth, in a sense at all. What you hear me say on YouTube, if you saw me with a bunch of kids that's playing and talking, and I'm trying to coach, I had so many parents say, "Well, you're so easy on them. You need to be a little tougher."
Yeah.
No, man, I'm trying to teach
Yeah.
them, and and that what resonates the most. You know what I'm saying? But to me, outside of YouTube, man, I ain't really got a lot of stress. You know what I'm saying? I go other now me, I will go to other channels to fight and sort of combat the rhetoric sometime.
Yeah,
Give
but
me
it seems like
something to
you're not
do, brother.
internalizing. It's almost like
Yeah,
watching a reality show or something like that, where it's just like you don't take it seriously.
yeah.
It's just
No,
almost like a guilty pleasure almost when you could be
yes.
in these places and see people just want to act a fool in
Yeah,
certain place or whatever. You get a
yeah,
laugh at that I get. But again,
yeah,
if something's going to be disturbing your peace and
yeah,
whatnot, yeah, you just don't need to be necessarily in those rooms. At least
yeah.
for my
I stay away from people like that, especially in real life. I don't. I've always been a positive person. I always want to see everybody win, see everybody eat. So I'm not a Debbie
yeah.
Downer, and everything is woe is me, and it ain't gonna never get better. See, I don't know though. I, I've met people like that, but I don't connect to
Yeah.
people like that. Sometimes I butted in some conversation. Like, hold up, it ain't no. Like, it can be better than that. It's just the state where you are today. And I don't know, man. Again, man, I've been thinking about the same thing that you thought about a few months ago. Just like, man, listen, man, I'm dealing with adults here. I'm not dealing with kids, and everybody holler about, well, they be stuck in all y'all stuck in y'all ways out there, man. Everybody stuck in
Mhm.
their ways. Then a lot of people don't. I believe a lot of people don't want to see things get better. When I hear people say, "Oh, it ain't gonna never get," see, I couldn't really be hanging around
Yeah.
somebody like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't be trying to, what I'm saying, go back and forth with information and, what I'm saying, just our opinions. Opinion is an opinion. So I don't know, man. I'm there. I'll man it out over the next few months now that, the season's changing.
Yes,
Football's back
sir. Yes,
on.
sir. My team won
We
tonight.
got a lot to talk about next
So who
Wednesday. We
you
got a
follow?
lot
You
to
follow
talk about, man.
University of Louisville? Who you follow?
I follow Louisville, man. I follow Kentucky. I follow I follow
Mm,
everybody, man. I
yeah.
ain't gonna lie. As far as now, being that it's a home team, I may like my wife. She like, you want me to get you a cup of tea? Because Louisville and Kentucky is a big game. Those are
Yeah.
big games. So she's already
Is that a
thinking
big
about
rivalry
getting me
though?
a
Is
ticket.
that like
Yeah, that's in
yeah, that's like
state, man.
it's like
70 miles
Michigan
apart.
what's that?
Yeah,
Ohio State is that level of
Michigan State. You put it
okay,
like
so
that.
it's that kind of yeah, it's
Yeah,
that level of life.
yeah. They already big on that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm in a good space, man. I've even had, and I'll say this and I'll shut up, even some of my friends in real life, I sort of just had to take a step
Mhm.
back, you know what I'm saying, just to like reevaluate, friendships and things like that. So, yeah, but I don't lose any sleep over it. People are people. You know what I'm saying? Life still goes on. We still got to worry about our finances when we get off
That
of
is
here
true.
on the first of the
That is
month.
true.
So I just look at it
Yeah.
like that, man. I want to live my best life without any stressors. And, man, salute, man. Salute to you. You know what I'm saying? I guess in your 50s, man, it's like, no. We don't need all that extra.
No, no.
We we got health issues to
Yeah,
worry
I'm
about.
trying to
You
just
know,
trying to
so
stay ahead of it. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I had my first real leg day in over a month. Um, Went back
mm,
into the squat rack and I put some first time I went in, I just kind of played with it a little bit. I just put a little I don't think I had like 95 pounds on my back, and I just did just a
mm,
few just kind of loosen up. But this time I put the knee wraps on. And loaded up some. It's like, okay. And even then, I left a little bit in the tank. You know, what I mean, I didn't want to
mm-hmm.
push. It's like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm feeling this now. So I got up to about 195, 200, um, just to kind of warm it up a little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, we can do some of this, and so I'm just just kind of working my way back to. Like I said, my regular routine, giving myself the rest days because at this age, the rest is really the rest and the recovery, the sleep, the nutrition. Make
Yes.
sure I take my supplements. Now I just started taking creatine recently, um, and just adding that to the stack and just kind of seeing how that affects. Because I really up to now I really never took creatine before, trying it out
Mm,
and just kind of seeing how it how it works with me, and
okay.
so I got my red apple cider vinegar routine going in the mornings now. So I got so I'm just just getting my groove. When you're on the road, you don't have all. You just realize it's good to do it every once in a while, but when you're living out of a suitcase every week, you really got to do that extra to try to maintain those health
Mm-hmm.
habits and whatnot, and to stay ahead of things. But it's good to be home where I can kind of do a reset. If and when I go back out again, then I'll be going out with a full tank. But my tank was definitely getting a little empty.
Yep.
And when like I said, that first leg workout, man, I mean, when it was serious, I was like, man, I had nothing. But this week I felt a whole lot better. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But
Salute to you,
but
bro.
yeah, but I think we're gonna land this plane. Okay, so again, we're gonna keep it short and sweet tonight. But again, Mariana Constantine, appreciate your comments tonight. So true. Never talk negatively about every shape and form, especially yourself. Absolutely. But again, but as I'll tell anybody, the talking's good, but again, it's got to be reinforced with some work. If you want your words to matter, put the action behind it as well, and have those habits that lead to those positive results. So it becomes a positive feeding loop when you put your words and your actions together, and it's just constantly so you're living a consistent life, an honest, virtuous life. You want to be able to do that. So again, financially, as I said earlier, started the show. We're not financial planners. We're not financial experts. Get with somebody who could really help you get a hold of your finances if that's an issue for you. If you're worrying about retirement and whatnot, start, get with somebody now to see what can I do with the time I have left to make sure I prepare for that. And so, but again, we're just just giving us from our own experience, as you heard about tonight, things that we've done, things that we're doing that has made this part of our lives. And I don't know about you, Coach, but I could truly say I am kind of living I kind of used to hate the term a little bit, but I am kind of living my best life right now. I got to be honest. And when I just look around,
Hey.
I just see blessings all around, and so we want that for everybody. If you're a young person who's trying to get into that, then definitely go back over the shows that we've done in the past, and take what you can use and apply it to your life. And so for us, I think we're enjoying this part. A lot of people worry about things. We're not worried. We're just living in our blessed self. So make sure as you leave the show tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you leave the show. And obviously we're ending a good time. So look forward to the replays and the shorts that will come from this show. As we continue to build within this platform. Thank you once again, Sparta HQ Network. Certainly for your support, and let's grow this channel together, and let's continue to put out positive content that builds, lifts, and edifies, and not tears down. So for myself, Mr. Bennett, he is the coach. Show them forearms again, sir. Show them biceps. That's 55. That's 56-year-old muscle right there. I'll be 56 in October. So that's real. That's some real stuff right there. I'm gonna have to
So
I'll do a
mess,
pose down. If we ever meet,
you,
we're gonna do a pose down together. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take some steps to do a pose.
man, I don't want you, man. I ain't gonna have you outshine me. You coming up there all rocked up, man. I'm
We're gonna
over here
do a
trying to
pose
hold in my
down. You know,
stomach.
we're gonna be like Arnold and Franco back in the day. We like in those pumping iron movies. We're gonna show them how to get it done. You know what I mean? But appreciate you guys for being with us tonight. And so until next time, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next week. Good night.